Hey guys, welcome to my channel and another stream and another chapter working on that guy right there. That is our 1/48 scale F-18F Super Hornet by Hasegawa. Let's run the intro and we'll get started. Alright guys, we're back, and we're going to continue on this build. It's been a little while. The last time we did a bunch of painting on the fuselage, and we got the fuselage colors all done. And then I had a Ford Bronco come into my life and had to get done and kind of put a pause on this. But while that was happening, I did do a bunch of stuff, and I did do a bunch of work off camera. After getting the colors laid down, I did a clear coat. I did a gloss clear over it, and then I put all the decals on everywhere, and then I did another gloss clear coat, and then that's where I'm at right now. So here it is. This is our little baby. As you can see in this camera here, we've got lots of little speckling detail, and looks pretty rough, even though it's really shiny. I'll change the camera so you can see in bigger view here. There we go. Okay. And we got all our decals put on there, and we're all good and happy. Yes, flip her over. This is nice and clean underneath, but that's going to change today. But that's all our decals. We got that all done. Okay. So that's the way she's looking right now. It's nice and splotchy looking. It's nice and random, and I like it. It looks good. Okay. So that's that. The other thing, we got our tail fins back here somewhere hiding. I wound up 3D printing a whole bunch of missiles. I got missiles coming out of my yin yang right now. Because I didn't want to deal with the kit missiles. I didn't want to put the fins on, and I just felt like just the detail was, you know, I could go on Cults 3D and I could download some really nicely detailed AIM 9Xs and some AIM 120Cs, and so I did that, and I printed them off, and so I've got them all painted, and I printed off a lot of extras so that in future builds I've got missiles already prepared just for a little bit of touch-up paint and stuff like that, and they'll be done. So anyway, we have our tail fins. Okay, these guys are done, just like that. Okay, so yeah, they look good, they look nice, detail's good, decals are good. We've got our wing tips, just like that, with our stars and bars on them, just like that. Alright, those are done. Where's the other tail fin? Here it is. Here's our other tail fin. As for the canopy, I just got the preliminary black done. I got to, one thing I want to do, even though the canopy is going to be black, and it's going to be basically flat black around there because of the you know, that black strip that goes along there, you have to get it to match. So if you just do, let's say, because it's going to be a flat black, let's say you did a flat black on here, and now you did your clear coat, and you did your weathering and stuff like that, and now you've sprayed it with flat black again, or flat clear, to flatten it again, but you don't do all that stuff on the canopy itself, like you just do flat black. When you go to put it on here, you're going to notice it's not quite 100% the same, just because you don't have all those layers of different paint. So in doing that, I need to do a gloss clear over this on the canopy because I did gloss clear on here. So I need to do a gloss first, and later on, once it's time to do the flat clear on here, I'll also do flat clear on the canopy, and that way it'll all match, be matchy, and it'll be really good. Okay, so that's that. So what are we going to do today? Well, I need to do a little bit of assembly, and then we're going to get dirty. Okay, we're going to get our panel lining and our weathering a little bit more dialed in, and get some streaking and grime and all that yucky, dirty stuff that these airplanes get while being on their aircraft carriers. Just a little while ago, I got them some little striped decals put on my missiles. So these are ready. There's my AIM-120Cs. We've got my AIM-9Xs here. Got 2 of these to go on our wingtips, just like that. These actually have some really nice looking little mounts on them, so that they mount really not, their mount. It's realistic. You got the details up here, which you don't get in a lot of missiles out of the kits. Just the detail there, and you even look at the back of it. It's got that little kind of a notch in it. It's just a really nicely detailed missile, and it looks good. What I haven't checked yet is if it's going to fit, because we basically have a big long slot here, but we have our there is, let me look at the instructions here again. They don't just go on to the tip, they go on to this piece here, our R12 and R10. I thought I had those taken off the sprue. Maybe I didn't. Let me have a look here. No, I did not. So those are going to be, I have them painted, but they're not off the sprues yet. So let's have a look at these, okay? So part of our missile assembly, we've got to get R10 and R12, or sorry, R12 and R13, and put those 2 halves together, okay? So 12 and 13 are quite simply, this is 13, and this is 12. No, it's actually 33. Where is 13? R12 has been taken off of here. What? What? Pardon me? I have that sitting in the box. Where is my R12? So it's definitely not in my box. Yeah, it's a little loud. I'm going to turn that down. There we go. So, where are my pieces? Have I got them sitting on my desk still? R13. Oh, I get it, I get it, I get it. 12 is a left, 13 is a right, that kind of thing. Let's get these off of here. This is 13. Oh, you know what I did? I took 12 and I glued it to 13 while it was on the sprue. That's what I did. See, that's what happens when you don't do it for so long. I wonder what 33 is for. Where's 33? Oh, 33 is for the... They go on to these guys for the AIM-120s. But let's just put this aside for now. I just wanted to see how this is going to look. So this guy is going to go onto the wing like this, but I think it's going to go onto the other wing. No. I painted both sides the light ghost gray. That really should have the dark ghost gray on that side there. But anyway, I wanted to see how this is going to line up. If it's going to line up. It doesn't really. I'm going to have different points of contact on here. So they've got 2 little holes for it, but where the front mount is, there's a little divot right here, right there. Right there. I don't know if the camera's going to show it, but it's right there. Okay, and that's where that's going to, your front mount is going to line up right there. And that's where your missile's going to sit in, just like that. Okay, just like that. So that's cool. So they're going to fit. It's going to work. Of course, these are resin, so they're going to have to glue these in with CA glue. The regular hobby glue will not glue them, because regular globby hoo, it's the globby hoos. Yeah, the hobby glue is designed to melt plastic and not resin. So anyway, let's get some dirt and some panel liner and some fun stuff like that. So first thing we're going to do is get these all out of the way. And I'm going to have a sip of my Pepsi. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, we're going to get some Tamiya panel liner. Shake this up a little bit. And we're going to do a bunch of panel lines around here. The whole idea here, she's going to look messy, and that is perfectly fine because that's what we're going for. We're going for a dirty plane. I just, I recently read on a Facebook group, somebody put a post about how a lot of model airplanes in the forums and stuff like that are much dirtier than what you'd ever see in real life. And of course this is coming from somebody who worked on aircraft in the Air Force or whatever, or in the Army. And I have an opinion, although my opinion does not really count for anything because I just build the models. The thing is, if you make it realistic and nice and clean, because that's the way it would be in real life, it makes for a very uninteresting looking plane. The reason why we make them look dirty and weathered is it's just more interesting visually. Yes, I'm going in the landing gear bay too. Everything's been hit with a gloss clear. If you don't do a gloss clear, then when you try to do your weathering like this and put your panel line on and everything, it's going to absorb into the paint and it's going to be a lot more difficult to clean up afterwards. But when you've got a gloss clear on, it sits on top of the paint rather than getting soaked in. And therefore is a lot easier to clean up. So right now we don't really care too much about being neat and tidy. These decals here were a bit of a pain. I had to take a needle and poke the holes in them in order for the decals to sit down. They did not want to sit down. The nice thing is, I do something like that where I just go touch and, oh no, I just got paint everywhere. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's the bottom. The bottom's supposed to be really dirty and filthy. Oops. Doesn't matter. It's supposed to be dirty and filthy. We're going to clean quite a bit of this up anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And yep, get in here in our landing gear bays as well. We'll be getting in here with some white spirits and toothpicks. Not toothpick, with Q-tip. Almost all the same letters. Yes, there are guys out there who are going to say, no crew chief would ever let the plane get that dirty. Well, and then somebody would come along with a picture of a plane that looks just horrifically filthy. And basically say, nope, you're wrong. planes do get dirty, they get filthy, they get, especially if they're on some kind of a mission, something like that. Yes, they get dirty and they don't get cleaned up right away. It happens. I'm going to go around all the panel lines. For the top, it doesn't matter so much, because a lot of the stuff we're going to be doing is not even going to be this black. The black is just the start. The black is just the start. Now, one thing to be said, the more you put on and the more you slop it around, it's true, that means the more cleanup you're going to have to do later. So, if you want to be precise with your panel lines and sit there and go very precisely, go touch, 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 just get in there and let it wick down the lines, you can do that. But because I am going for a dirty plane, I'm going to be leaving quite a bit of this on and not worrying about cleaning it all up 100%, because I am going for a dirty plane. So I'm going to basically just continue on this, and we'll come back when this is all done, okay? Okay, so we have these all done. I even did the wing tips too. Okay, letting them dry for a few minutes. And our fuselage is done except for the underneath. Okay, we're going to do the underneath after. We're going to clean a little bit of this up first. Okay, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to grab some white spirit. In this case, it's just odorless thinner by AK. They also have white spirits, basically the same thing. Okay, basically the same stuff. In fact, I think what I've got in here is a mixture of some dirty stuff. You can see it's pretty black looking, but it doesn't matter. It still cleans up. Watch this. I dip my thing in there, and it's clean. And we're going to set this over here onto paper towel. We don't want it super soaking wet. Close this up because I don't want to accidentally spill it. And I'll show you guys. I'll show you on here first. Let's take this wing, example. We're just going to wipe it, and that's going to wipe away all the stuff on the surface like that, and clean it all up. And we're going to leave all the stuff that's in the lines and in the holes like that. This starts to get a bit dirty. You grab your paper towel, just give it a little bit of a wipe on there, wipe some of the excess away, just like that. What I like to do is wipe in the direction of airflow so I can mimic some streaks like this. And there we go. So don't pull it quite, so it pulls a little bit out of the panel lines, but not 100%, and it leaves some streaks and it leaves some dirtiness, and that looks good to me. We'll do the underneath. You can see this was on a little thick, so that's still a little bit wet, but that's okay. Even though it's still a little wet, that's fine. We can still deal with that. It just makes it a little more You see all the streaks I get going on there? That's perfectly fine, because that's kind of the look I'm going for, especially underneath. Especially underneath. Now if you wait a little longer and it dries more, it will have a tendency to pull out of the line a little bit less. Okay? Because I'm doing this while it's still pretty wet, it has a tendency to want to pull right out of the line. And so I kind of go with a bit of a more gentle feel on it. There we go. We got the underneath all nice and dirty and streaky too. There we go. Okay. So I will continue doing all that on the fuselage, and we'll come back when I'm all finished with that part, okay? So we'll come back in a little bit.
Later.
Okay, so we're back a little bit later, a little bit cleaner. She's a little bit more refined in her detail and her dirtiness. Let's change the camera here. Okay, so I got most of it cleaned up, but I left a lot of it on there because I want it to look dirty and grimy. Okay, and that's what we got for the underneath. Yeah, lots of dirt, lots of grime. It's really just a lot of dirty panel lining. That's really all it is. But we don't want it all black. We want to have some variation. We want things like grease, grime, stuff like that. Those are not all black. So we're going to change the color a little bit. We're going to use a little bit of AK's engine grime. Now, the nice thing about this stuff, you can use this stuff. You can also, I also have some panel liner for gray and blue, which is really just a super, super dark gray. It's really what this is. You can tell by the fact that I shook this a little bit and they didn't hear any ball inside there for a second. It's because these things have a lot of pigment in them, and so it settles and it becomes thick. So you do have to give them a good shake. I'm going to give these both a good shake. Our process for these is just a little bit different than the Tamiya panel liner. It's similar, but not quite the same. And you'll see. You'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's change the camera and I'll show you here. Okay, so we're going to flip her over. We'll do the bottom first. Okay, bottom first. So this stuff has kind of a brownish tinge to it, the engine grime. You can see it looks a little bit brown. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a brush and I'll just do it on the lid for now. There's not much on the lid actually, so I'll dip it in there. And we're going to go bing, 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 bing. Bing, bing. Yep, hydraulic leaks all around. Little dots here and there, like that. Okay. Yep. You can do as much or as little as you like. And that's good. And I'm going to take the panel liner. This is a tight lid on that guy. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dip it in here. And we're going to do the same kind of thing. You go, why are you mixing panel liner with engine grime? Well, because not everywhere, we want some variation in our colors. Okay, that's what we want. should get some thinner on a rag and clean off those threads. Okay, so we're going to clean up the brush. This stuff does clean up with lacquer thinner, so you don't have to worry about that. But we're not going to use lacquer thinner on our model because with lacquer thinner, just strip all the paint off. This stuff is enamel, so just like the Tamiya panel liner, that's also enamel. It cleans up with your white spirits. But we're going to do a little bit different with this. Making sure that all the lacquer thinner is cleaned off of our brush. We're going to dip this in here and we're going to streak it. Streaks. It thins it out, it streaks it just like that. And it's going to give us the illusion of, well, streaks, basically. Now, I'm not the best at doing straight streaks. I'm really not. So I need to kind of practice my streaks and refine them. Another thing you can do if you don't want to do a streak, you can just kind of blend it out like that. And that's really good for the top, right? Blend it out and just do like a dirty stain kind of thing. Of course, for my wingtips, I definitely want to have streaks on here where, you know, hydraulic leakage and stuff like that. You go, wow, that's way too much. Well, then you just clean some thinner off your brush and give it another streak, another wipe, okay, and just keep going until you've totally thinned it out. You can also use a Q-tip if you want to clean it up even more. Okay. This stuff is the exact same kind of thing as Tamiya panel liner. And of course, if you really don't like it, you think you've totally screwed it up, you just put a bunch of thinner on a rag and you just wipe it. You can clean it up. You can refine your streaks very easily until it's all gone, if that's what you want. If you just want to get rid of it, you've put way too much on or whatever, you don't like it at all, you don't like the look, well, then you just clean it all off. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to do basically the same thing on the top and do that same thing and we'll come back. Okay.
Eventually.
Okay, so we've got our bird really dirty. Let's flip the camera and take a look. Here's the top. Our bird is really, really dirty. Look at that. That's a dirty bird, all right. Flip her over. And there's the underneath. The underneath is just as dirty. This is clearly the dirtiest plane I've ever built. So you might notice over here I've got my little bits. I've dirtied those up too. You got to keep that in mind. You got all these little bits that need to be also included. Even little things like your landing gear bay doors. You got to do a little dirt on them too, otherwise you've suddenly got these nice pristine little doors that just look out of place. And so that's what I did. So let's actually now maybe kind of put a little couple of things together today, because, well, we haven't done any assembly yet. All we've been doing is getting dirty. So if we go back to step 5, we've put the two pieces together. We got our fuselage all together. And then step 6 was our tail fins. Step 6 was putting our tail fins together. Okay, so we've got those. I think it's time we can actually put those on now. Let's get those installed. So let's grab our dirty bird here. And I'm actually going to move these guys out of my way because I don't want to. So you can see they're all looking nice and dirty and stuff like that. Yep, I'm just going to put these over here, just so that they're out of the way. Put these just freshly glued weapons pylons there. So we've got our tail fins. These guys just simply slide into these two slots like this and like that, and they literally just sit like that. So I'm going to put a little glue on our tabs here and I'll shove them in. Actually, before I do that, now I just second guessing. It's going to be easier for me to put the landing gear in if this is flat rather than sitting on our wings like this, and I'd have to balance it. So these are going to wait. They're going to wait. They're going to be nice and patient, and they're going to wait. We're going to skip step 6, and we're going to jump down to step 8. Actually, let's get our engines installed. Our engines have been patiently waiting for installation for a long time now. Okay, let's get those installed. They're already assembled and they're right here. First of all, our little bucket's going to go in, and we've got a couple of little tabs we need to line up. Let's have a look. Looks like our tabs go top and bottom. It's going to be a bit of a tight fit, I think. Once it's in there, I won't be able to. Well, actually, that goes in quite nicely on that side anyway. So let's get that glued in. Okay, let's glue that guy in there. We'll use some of our Tamiya extra thin. Get this guy glued in. Make sure he's nice and flush. Just like that. I don't want to get a bunch of glue on my fingers, so it doesn't really sit perfectly flat. Or at least he doesn't want to. There we go. He's pretty much in all the way. Okay, let's get his brother. Get him in there. He seems to be a bit tighter of a fit. Maybe they are. Okay. So they fit one way, but they don't fit the other. So, well, that's good to know now, I suppose. All right. Press them down nice and flush. So you want to have them as flush and flat against that edge there. You want a nice straight edge because your nozzles have to go on right there. Now my nozzles, if you remember, these guys are made out of resin, and so I have to super glue these guys on. I got to use some CA glue to put my nozzles on. Okay, so that means putting our regular glue aside and getting my CA glue. If you guys remember, my CA glue is this is my nozzles plugged completely, and I just couldn't be bothered to fix it. So I'll just dip my applicator in here. And we're going to go all the way around our perimeter here. Actually, and it's going to be easier to go on the actual model. Just hold my model up like this. Maybe I'll do that. That's good. And we'll go around our edge here. Okay. Somehow I wound up getting glue all down my finger, and I've got CA glue now on my fingers. I didn't even notice it. I guess it ran down my tweezers. That's fun. Fun. Okay, let's get this nozzle on here. Give it a twist a little bit, and there we go. Lining it up as best as I can. I'm going to use a little bit of my accelerator on it just to encourage it to dry faster. I don't like spraying this stuff. There we go. One nozzle's on. So let's flip this over. Just because I'm left-handed and it's easier for me this way. Get our second nozzle ready. Yes, I'm using a generous amount because these aren't exactly the most precise fit on here, and I want them to line up and I want it to stay. Like that, and accelerator. And there we have it. Our two nozzles on, just like so. Now I just realized a little detail I forgot to do is the insides of these are supposed to be kind of that whitish color. And I didn't do that. I just realized now that I didn't do that. So, you know, I might do it later. I might not. I might just say, you know what, forget it. It doesn't matter. It's just a small detail that really only I'm going to pay attention to. It's okay. It's okay. Alright, so engine nozzles on. Finally. So, with those done, we can deal with our landing gear. Okay, now our landing gear is all assembled. So we can start putting some of this in. So we've got different pieces that need to go in, say for our main gear, but we can get this installed first into its little spot here, right over here, like so. It's going to sit like that. And then we got to get R2 and C1. R2 and C1, let's find those. R2 needs to have some paint applied to it. And a couple of nubs taken off. So, let me get these painted first. That's R2. Let me see about C1. C1, I have painted white already, so that's good. There's C1. Okay. So I need to paint a little bit of paint. Actually, I just use my Mr. Surfacer on here. Actually, I should shake this up better. This is Mr. Surfacer 1000, and so it's got a tendency to, all the pigment has a tendency to settle on it. So I'm just going to quickly paint this. I've spray painted all the other pieces, but just for the sake of getting this done, let's get that one and clean this up. And paint this guy. Alright, that's that one. And this has had a minute to kind of dry a little bit, so get you nice and white. Okay. So, with my time running out, I think basically we're just going to have to wait, guys. With my time running out for this episode, it's we're just going to have to wait. I've got to wait for that paint to dry, and then I can put some parts in. Meanwhile, I'll take a look at other parts that might need to get painted and touched up. Although it doesn't look like it too much. I'm going to have to take a look at K55, K52, see if they need a touch-up, K51. Yeah, little bits like that. I'm going to have to take a look at them and see if they need to be painted as well. So I'll make sure those are all painted by the next time we come back. But that's going to be it for today. I'm going to have to leave this for now, guys. I want to thank you for joining me on this little journey. I want to thank you for joining me, just period, you know, just thanks for joining me. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button too. That would be really awesome. And also hit the like button if you like this stuff, and leave a comment down below. I love to read your comments. I know I got a comment on my it was my Instagram the other day, so that was cool. I don't get that very often, and but I appreciate it, and I like hearing from you guys. It's really awesome. So again, that's where we're going to leave it today, guys. We're going to come back and we're going to continue getting this thing put together and buttoned up. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one.